Good afternoon and welcome to the conference room at Bancorp South here in Waynesboro, Mississippi. I'm Marshall Wood along with Kenny Odom on the other side, and of course the head coach of the Wayne County High School War Eagle football team, Todd Mangum. And we're here today to we're going to talk a little bit about this past season. We're going to call this our season in review. We're finished up. I don't know, it's what it seems like just yesterday we were up there at the stadium, and I guess about 4 weeks ago. But what we're going to do here during this off season is bring to you a series of shows to keep you up to date with what's going on at Wayne County High School with the football program. It's a big part of our community, and we want to share that with you. And again, Coach Mangum, we appreciate the opportunity that you give us to be a part of what you do at Wayne County. I do want to say this, and we're going to get to the heart of the matter in a minute, but we would be remiss if we didn't address this. Everybody knows about the winning tradition that Wayne County has on the field. But as Coach Mangum and I were talking about a little earlier, Wayne County High School War Eagle football is about as well a documented football program as any school in the United States of America, probably outside of Hoover and what they did with their show that was on MTV several years ago. But you know, you've got Weibo Radio has been carrying this thing for a long time. Kenny was a big part of that for a number of years. Of course, the Wayne County News, Paul Keene is doing a great job with that and his predecessors have done that as well. And then in 2005, CMA came on board and we started doing the broadcast to bring to the cable here to allow you to share it after, to come back and review and watch the games after they were on a replay. Now, the head-to-head thing, I don't know if I mentioned that, Fox Sports Networks all over the country showed that thing for a 10-week series. So broadcasting in Wayne County High School War Eagle football has been a big thing. Now we're preparing to take this to a whole new level in the years in the year to come, and this is part of what we're doing. So you always try to remember where you come from. And the reason we're starting here is because we're remembering some of the people that have helped us from a broadcast standpoint get to where we are today. And certainly Bancorp South has been a big part of that in our past, being the sponsors of some of our pregame and halftime and postgame shows through years past. So we want to thank them, and they've graciously offered their conference room to start this program again for your off-season broadcasting. So the first thing we're going to do is kind of turn our attention over to the head coach for a few minutes, and we've want to look at several things. And Coach, just give us, really to start with, a general overview of this past season. Let's begin at the beginning. When you took the job as the head coach at Wayne County and you came up to the kick that ball off for the first time this fall, what were your expectations? I mean, what were your realistic expectations for your football team this fall?
Well, I guess the first thing is, I wanted to do was, we didn't want to back up. I was fortunate enough to be part of this thing. We got it going back in 2001, where we kind of got this thing started. When I was able to be here with Marcus, and when I left here, the program was in great shape, and it kept going and it kept winning, kept playing for division and South State and state championships. And so the biggest thing I didn't want to do was, me personally, I guess, I didn't want to back up. I didn't want this program to go down any.
Any pressure with that?
Well, always. but most of that was what I put on myself. Yeah. And I knew the expectations of the people here, from the administration all the way down to the fans. I knew what the expectations were when I came here, and I didn't want to let anybody down. I guess that was my big thing I didn't want to do. But the biggest thing is I didn't want this program to back up. And I felt like we came through this year, and we did what we had to do.
Mm-hmm. Kenny, you've been around Wayne County War Eagle football for a long time, and from a broadcast standpoint, and when you look back, look at what were you thinking about coming into this year? From what you've seen in the past, what were you thinking about?
I think probably the biggest thing was that I guess since the high school consolidated, we hadn't had an awful lot of sustained success, and the last 12 years or so, that success level has changed. Now, I was sitting here when you guys were talking about that and trying to remember if in 2000, I think we were beaten by Moss Point.
That's right.
Bobby Hall's first year here, and I want to say that I don't remember if that was the first or second round loss. I want to say it was first round.
I think it was first round, and Marysville Bo was the quarterback down there.
And
that was quite a game in the rain.
And we got to see him and make his debut in Division I football. But this is the only time that I can recall that we've had a coaching change, and we went 2 rounds deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And while we're disappointed in the outcome, the injury bug really bit us. But in looking back over the years, and thankfully in the last 12, we've only had 3 coaches, and Bobby Hall, and then Marcus was here for that length of time he was, some 11 years, and now that Todd's here, we in that same period we have been able to maintain a high level of success that we didn't see at all in the 90s. And so this year, going into the year, I felt like that if we made the playoffs, considering what we had coming back and some of the obstacles, that we'd have a pretty good year. If we got a round deep, that would be a real good year. But I felt like that it would be important for Todd and his staff to make a statement, going 2 rounds deep or more, and they did that. So all my expectations were fulfilled. If we went any further after that, that was Landy out.
Well, you talked about the coaching change and then going too deep, and it's another part of that too, which is well documented throughout the course of the year. We talked about our defense. We talked about it, say we had 11 folks in the rotation on the first 2 lines of defense, being your defensive front and your linebackers, with only 2 of them that had any experience at all. And we've talked about it all year long about where we started, where we wound up. So that's coaching, that's your coaching staff. So we're blowing your horn, we're blowing your coaching staff horn here a little bit. Now you might not do it, but that we will, and we don't mind. That having been said, let's talk for a minute about your coaching staff. I mean, these are the guys, we talked to you on Friday nights and in these shows. A lot of these guys have got there and work hard, and they work with you, and you got to count on these guys. And a lot of folks don't know who they all are. So let's talk about your coaching staff for a few minutes and tell us who they are and what their responsibilities are that you assign to them.
Well, starting on offense first, I guess we start with a guy that when you come to a game, you better get there early if you want to see him, or you see him coming up and down the steps out of the press box, or offense coordinator Bud Blackledge. And as we said before the season started, able to that was like being down a run in the bottom of the 9th and hitting a 2-run homer when we got Bud and got him over here. And I told him, he said, what do you want? I said, I want you to coach the offense. I want you to coordinate the defense. I mean, the offense. Yeah. I'll worry about the defense. You worry about that side. And, the plus to that is Bud being a head coach, kind of the similar situation I was in, going from being a head coach to a coordinator last year, at Madison. Bud's been a head coach, and now he's going back to being a coordinator. And the knowledge, not just offense, defense, and just the game itself, but just situations that would arise. A guy that's been in that position, is very, very valuable to our staff. So glad to have him. And Bud coaches our quarterbacks and coordinates our offense. And then you go up front. Well, Tim Blackwell, and of course Tim was with us when I was here before, and Tim has been coaching the offensive line. He and Coach Will Mason kind of tag team that, and do a really good job. And one good thing about it, the offense itself, it was still a spread type offense, but we tried to take some of the things that they had been doing terminology wise, and Bud adapted it into his system. So there was not a big terminology change when we had a change in the guy calling the plays, because it was easier. It's kind of like he said, it's easier for me to change than 35 kids. and those other coaches to change. Let's adapt. And that's one of the greatest things about, coaches, and that what I admire about, our coaches and other coaches that I study and watch is their ability to adapt to a situation. And then when we lost Ryan Ernest, we needed a guy to coach offensive skill guys, receivers, and so we were fortunate enough to get Jay Blackledge and Bud's son. And we had a lot of, dialogue about that, said, I told him, I said, I'm going to do you like a guy did me here years ago. When we lost a coach on defense, Marcus told me, said, well, you need to go find a coach because they're going to be working with you, And so, that turned into Kelly Murphy. Yeah. And so the same thing I told Bud, I said, we need to get somebody that, that we feel like we can work with and everything, but, is, knowledgeable about what we do. Also is technology knowledgeable. Jay and Coach Kevin Gandy handle a lot of our computer stuff.
That's a big part of everything.
It is. And so, Jay came in, so, felt really, really good about our offensive staff there, and guys, they work good together. Everybody's got their job, and there's no hidden agenda. It's score points.
I want to say something here too, and we all can have our funny little ways sometimes now, and boys will be boys and men will be men. But now you just said something there about Coach Blackledge, the head coach coming in, and I, for one, watched the dynamics of your coaching staff this year because we had another head coach on that team too. We had head coaches and strong personalities coming in. There's only one lead dog, and that's you. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you. I sat back and I said, this is going to be interesting to see how this plays out with some strong personalities with head coaching experience. And I want to tell you, it was just a blessing and a pleasure and a testament to a lot of things. And you get to talking about, godly men and understanding mercy and grace and long suffering and the capacity to be able to come together, and the chemistry of that coaching staff this year just seemed to be, from a layman's standpoint, it seemed to be really amazing.
Well, that was one thing, offensively, I think all season long in 13 games, I think I suggested one play.
Did it work?
It was a quarterback sneak. Get up under center, take the snap, let's run quarterback sneak.
That's a defensive
and then the next thing was the relationship, both personal and professional, that Bud and I have. We're in a situation, we're kind of in that little gray area there. Do we punt? Do we go for it? Do we try a field goal? And there was never a time that I, told him, it was fourth down, let's call a first down play, and so we were able to do that. And a lot of that goes on. Number one, that I trust he and the rest of the offensive staff that we've put our players in position in practice to be able to do that,
right.
and be successful. So. And then, on the other hand, on defense, I guess if you start up front, there we go. Coach Bubba Davis coached our front, and there's another former head coach, and actually former head coach here.
That's right.
And Coach Davis came in, and it was the first time in Coach Davis's career he's ever coached an odd type front defense like we played. So not only was, he doing a good job coaching those guys, but actually, it's kind of like he said, I even learned some things because we were doing things that he had just never done before. And, our philosophy that we have here, that we do on defense, and he was able to mesh his coaching skills into something that it was uncharted waters to him. And, being able to do that and doing a great job with our front. Then Cornell Blakely and myself handle the linebackers. Cornell's also, head coach down at Waynesboro Middle School. And then, Coach Kevin Gandy, Coach Michael Hall, coach our secondaries. Kevin has the safeties and Michael has the corners. And, you think about, those guys back there need to hear one voice, but we use those guys in different ways that, to maximize our practice time. We need a guy coaching those safeties, because those safeties are going to work with the linebackers in the front some, and then those corners are going to work with the corners and the safeties. So there's a lot of times there that they're split, that group's divided up and working in different phases of the game in practice. So the thing about defensively, really from a terminology standpoint, a lot of the things that we had been doing before I got here were things that we started doing back in 2001. Mm-hmm. Some of the same terminology and everything, and basically, some of the scheme was pretty much the same. The terminology is what really didn't change a whole lot from then till now, because Kelly pretty much did. After I left, Kelly pretty much did the things that we did, and then when Marvin took over the defense after that, the terminology and all pretty much stayed the same. Philosophy was pretty much the same. Scheme was a little bit different here and there, because that's one thing about high school football. You've got to fit a scheme to your players, because we can't go out and recruit. We're not Olive Branch or Oak Grove. We can't go out and recruit, so we got to fit a scheme to our players. But just like I said, our coaching staff, I thought did an outstanding job, and I won't ever forget. And this was something that we started back in 2001, and I don't know how many people notice it, but after when the players are going off the field for warm-ups, when we throw the ball to the end zone, one thing we did back then is that all the coaches, we shook hands and we shared some words right there real quick before we all went in. Usually before Marcus was going to go do the coin toss, and now and I won't ever forget that in that first ball game, all the anticipation and everything, and when the ball hit down there, it was just instinct for me to start looking for coaches, and to carry that on and to bring in guys that were a part of that, guys that, for example, like Kevin was a player for us back in 01, and for him, and then came here and coaching. But as we came together and shook hands and embraced and shared some words right there before we all go in, that really, I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But we were able to bring now some new people into that, and it's just something that that's what we do.
I like seeing your demeanor, your expression, you can tell it's important to you.
Yeah.
Ken, you've been around a lot of coaching staffs. I mean, you've always been, you carry the title that you got somewhere. I don't know if it's you're self-nomenclated, or whether somebody, maybe he gave it to you about the DFO. And, I know you've been in and out of the coaching in the locker rooms, in the practice, in the skull sessions and stuff, and you've seen a lot of the coaching staffs and the different meshes of personalities. I mean, what do you look at this coaching staff, and what do you see looking in? You've been in and out of
the DFO, to go back to that was Joey Collada.
Oh, okay.
Joey Collada, and Joey stuck me with that title on been up there on Sunday afternoons, and I had a cap for a while at DFO stuff. One of the things that I thought was really neat, and the example was set, I thought that a lot of folks could learn a lot from when Todd came here in 2001, when Marcus got him here, and watching how they set things up and how they worked, and even at that point, I wondered a little bit. I mean, I hadn't known Marcus that long. I'd only known him about a year or so, and had no idea. I mean, I heard of Todd, but didn't really know him. And to see, you have two head coaches on the field, and see how they did that and how that worked out and how they handled that. And you know, Marcus had the offense, Todd had the defense, and I think if I remember right, you had been primarily involved with the offense till you came here, and that's when you. And of course, it was when I walked back there in Todd's little cubby hole back there in the back. You saw 4 or 3 chalkboards or eraser boards, and they were just filled with formations and calls and stuff. And you know, I couldn't imagine that a group of high school kids could learn all those. And of course, there's 1,001 jokes that we all know in there with some of the players we've had. But you know, to watch how they worked, I mean, in watching Sunday afternoons when they're watching film, it's a lot of banter. I mean, they pick at one another. They, you know, may pick out something a kid did that he was not supposed to do, and you know, you coached him that way, kind of. But it's always learning. I mean, you're always watching them, and they always learn from something. And one of the things that I felt fortunate to do is be able to watch film with them on Sundays and learn an awful lot from them. I wish I knew as much as they've all forgotten. But certainly in watching how they work together and how they mesh together, that's huge. Because if there's friction in the staff, the kids pick up on it.
Yeah.
And if the kids, I mean, if the kids pick up on it, and you've got one coach, you know, that comes and says you need to be doing this, and you know, another coach is saying, you know, that's not your job, that's not your place. I've never seen it in all the years I've been here. Now I've seen them get after one another about what kind of call was that, and if you'd stop them, we could score more, you know. But outside of that, I mean, it was always just in jest and them having fun with each other. But it's been a lot of fun to watch them, and I tell you what. When they talk about life lessons from football, you watch how a group of guys come together as coaches and work together like they have the last 12 years. And if you don't learn something from that, you're not spending near enough time in church. You need to load up and go back and get your Bible back.
That's a great point.
Because
it's all about really education when you get right there.
Well, you know, the thing about coaching is teaching, and you know, it's just like being in an algebra class, being in an English class, or whatever. That particular teacher is teaching that particular subject. But if I'm going to brag on us a little bit, if you want to see one of the purest forms of teaching, come to football practice. Come and sit in a film session, and come and see our coaches get up on the board and draw it on the board and explain to players, and then go watch them out on the field. Go watch them on the field. Teach that guy, you know, how to take that first step. You know, the stance, what to see. When they get into this formation, this is what they're going to do. And we start on Monday and we go to, you know, Friday, and on Friday night, player is able to recognize a formation and call out what they're fixing to do because of what they've learned that week. You know, our coaches, that's one thing I'm proud about, because all of our coaches are teachers of the game. I think that's very, very important.
Oh, that's a great point. That's a great point. And a big part of your success. A big part of your success. Here's what we're going to do for just a brief minute. We're going to take a break for just a second. And we're going to hear from, talk a little bit more about our host for today, Bancorp South, and then we'll be back to wrap up this season in review, if you will, after this word. Okay, welcome back. And again, we do want to thank our friends here at Bancorp South for what they've done for broadcast capability of Wayne County High School War Eagle football in the past, and for them helping us today to kick off our between season programs, if you will. Now, back to the matter of hand. We're looking back on this past season, and Coach, I kind of hit you about this talking some out in the parking lot before we came in, and looking back at the season, what were, let's just try to figure out, what was your biggest pleasant surprise and your biggest disappointment?
Let's talk about the bad first.
All right, get that over.
You know, I guess disappointments. You know, I'm always disappointed for our players and for our coaches and for our fans at any loss. You know, and all the high expectations and anticipation and all to that first game, you know, and then for us to go out there and not win that first game, and that was that I was disappointed for our players and for our fans, you know, for that, because you know, it was you know, the game and everything, you know, and I was so glad it was first to get it over with, get it out of the way. Regardless of what happened, let's get this thing started. Let's get it over with. I felt like the next week against Meridian, and that's going to be part of my part of the good things too. But that hard fought loss, that one was tough, because we were 2 or 3 plays from winning that ball game against a team at that time that was ranked number 1 in the state. And then of course the way the season ending loss. You know, so I guess if you take the losses and what led to those losses, that you know, that's tough. That's tough on anybody, and you know, but it was tough on our players, and you know, tough for our fans and everything. But I felt like that during the Meridian game, even though it was a loss, as coaches, we sat down after the game and the next day, that weekend, and you know, we said, the guys, hey, we're better right here, you know, than we were last Saturday night against Petal. We've improved, and that's you know, the biggest improvement between your first and second game. It just so happened we played 2 top 10 teams in the first 2 weeks of the season. And you know, we had an 0-2 record to show for it. Yeah. But I really felt like that I saw some things there in our football team, and we began to slowly see that the maturation of our team, the growing up of our team, and then we go through and finish that non-division schedule and 2-2. And one of the happiest things was getting that first win. To be able to look at our players and to see them smile after a game, to see our players and our coaches and our fans be able to smile. We won. That's the one we needed, because after that game, after that second loss there, you know, I told the guys on Monday, guys, here's our goal. From here on out, we want to win 1 game a week.
I heard you preach that.
We want to win 1 game a week. That's all we want to do, is win 1 a week. You know, it's not like baseball or basketball or, you know, soccer, these other sports that get to play multiple games. That's all we play, is 1 a week, and that's what we want to do. We want to win 1 game a week. And we were able to do that. We was able to run off a string of wins there, and you know, after that first win, you know, opening up the division schedule against Pearl, you know, I thought our effort that night was really, really good on both sides of the ball. I thought, you know, we made a statement against a team that, you know, some people had picked to win the division before the season started, and I felt like we made a statement in that first division win. And then, you know, we play a good Macomb team after that. But I guess if you look at games, the West Jones game, which, you know, always highly anticipated and everything, going out there and be able to do what we did against a team that we all know and we all respect, and be able to have a game like we did against them. I really felt like defensively, that night, at halftime of that game, we grew up. I felt like not that we had played so bad up until then, but I just saw guys grow up right in front of my eyes. And as coaches, we all saw that. And then the hard-fought game over at Brookhaven, where it comes down to basically the last play of the game, you know. and and being able to walk off that field at Brookhaven, which we all know is a tough place to play, with a win like we did. But I guess one of the things that I'm most proud of our coaches and our team is, we went through a lot of adversity, and I know y'all talked about it, and it was talked about, everywhere. But one place it was just never really talked about was in the field house. When we lose our starting quarterback, before halftime of the Macomb game, and then boom, here goes the 10th grader in. And it was that's just what we do. It's time for you to go, going back before that, Greg gets hurt in the Meridian game, and, we're sitting there at 0-2 and our starting tailback's out. Nobody really said anything. We're just next man up, And then we lose DeJarvis for pretty much the last half of the season with an injury. And you talk about at some point in time, we had 3 of our productive players out, and nobody really said anything. It was just next man up. And, we talked about it as coaches because we had to get this guy ready or that guy ready. But players never said anything about it. We never talked about it. All we talked about was what we had to do to win one game a week. And, that's one of the biggest things I'm proud of our team is that we never had excuses. We had injuries on defense. Gary plays with a bum shoulder pretty much all the season, and we've got, ankles and knees and, different injuries and everything, but nobody made an excuse, and I was so proud of our players because we had guys that just stepped up. Mm-hmm. That's what they did. Mm-hmm. At halftime of the Macomb game, I'm seeing our 2 freshman quarterbacks run through the dressing room, and I'm looking, well, we dressed them out at halftime. We got them out of the stands because we had 1 quarterback. We got our 2 ninth grade quarterbacks out of the stands, got them dressed at halftime, and going back to coaching, they do what we do in the varsity. So if we had to put them in, there was no.
I've got this picture in my mind of the loudspeaker. If you play quarterback, you're in Wayne County High School.
That's it.
Report to the locker room.
Yeah. Well, and you look at another thing, going back talking about no excuses. Odom gets hurt against Brookhaven. We start a freshman against Stone County, a freshman quarterback who had finished his season a week before, and now he's starting. The first varsity game he played in, he started in almost. So that's just that's the mentality of our players, of our coaches, that okay, it's just next guy up. And those are the things that make me really proud and make us as a coaching staff proud, is that our team just, we just kept playing hard. We kept getting better each and every game. And I guess it was more obvious, more so, on defense, because that first game we were so bad. We were so bad. And then we just kept growing up, and just guys kept playing hard, coaches kept coaching, and we just kept playing.
As a fan, and that's what I am. I'm a fan, and I just get the privilege to stand up there and talk and look at the game and do this kind of stuff, and it's because I'm a fan. It means so much to me. But I watched it, and I'm going to ask you the same thing, and I'm going to try to be brief. And that is, my biggest surprise, pleasant surprise, was just the way the defense grew. I mean, it was amazing to watch it. It was just, it's like a fly. It's just amazing to see it happen. And as a fan, my biggest disappointment was, through the year, was knowing, and you get hurt, and you got to play hurt, but knowing when we stepped on that field in that second round of that playoff, that we weren't, from a health standpoint, our best. And talking to people on the streets like I do, we always say, man, if we'd just been a little bit healthier, we'd been in Jackson. You know, that's the way a fan looks at it.
That's
Just
like-
a little bit healthier.
That's
we'd have
like
been in
Kenny and
Jackson.
me and Kenny talked about this. Now, I will say this, we were the best one-legged team in the state. We were the best one-legged team in the state. I don't believe any other team could beat us as like we played. We were the best one-legged team in the
And I
state.
mean, you know, played it hard and to the wire. I mean, really had to get. I did the numbers on this, and I can't remember what they were, but I mean, probably half of our offense, statistically speaking, was gone.
Mhm.
You know, but you got to play with what you got.
See it?
We're getting a little long.
I just
What do
quickly,
you think?
I'm with you defensively. I thought, and we talked about this, and if you remember after the Meridian game, you know, we did our post-game talk, you and I, Paul, we talked about that defense and how young they were and how much better they got from Pebble to Meridian, and if they continued, they were going to be a force to be reckoned with by the time year was out, and they were. And I was pleasantly surprised at how quickly those guys came around. My biggest disappointment this year, y'all may think this a little odd, but I'm going to tell you, my biggest disappointment this year was in our fan turnout. We had a group of kids that should not have won as many ball games as they did, and they played hard and fought hard, and we had some good matchups at home this year, and our fan attendance was down. You know, you can lay that off to, you know, kind of first one thing or another, but, you know, again, I'm hopeful that with some of the changes that we're going to talk about in the coming weeks and stuff in the facilities and things, that our fans get that enthusiasm back, because it makes a lot of difference when you're sitting there and those stands are rocking. And I'm gonna tell you, we've had that in years past, and it's not something that I think is a particular issue. I think it goes back to the fact that we won so much, folks are complacent. And I think that's why we're so much hollering last year and then this year too, by 2 years in a row, go opening 0-2. But that was my biggest point. I really felt like that our kids deserve to have those stands full.
That's a great point, and I tell you what, and it's so hard for me not to run on out in the next season, but we're going to have another show about that coming up in a few weeks, because I'm just sitting here just slaughtering at the mouth looking at what we got coming, but can't do that. That's for another show, so we're going to be getting that. Now, let's just talk for a minute, Coach, and we looked, I almost jumped in. Statistically speaking, I mean, in a nutshell, you put up 31 points a game and gave up 17. I mean, I go back to looking at the years when you were here before we were winning those state championships. We were putting up about 36, 37 points a game, giving up about 9. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what kind of point? What is that even something that you look at or think about, or does it just come out and happen, or do you have goals along that? Would this be close to a goal you want to say?
We do, you know, and the thing about it is a lot of those, you know, points, if you go back, you know, a lot of those numbers were early, you know, and everything. But, you know, we were 407 to 232 as far as scoring, you know, scoring 407 points in a season.
That's a fun job.
Yeah, but that Bud won't be satisfied with that, but that's fine too, because that makes us better coaches, you know. And if my dad was still alive, he said, well, you probably should have scored 500 points, you know, instead of 400. But you know, we'll look at these. Before we go into spring ball, you know, we'll look at what we did as far as you know, statistically, and that'll be goals for you know, for our players. You know, we want to be you know, of course, better against the run, and doing some things there. But you know, all those things that we'll talk about you know, at a later time we get you know, get on down the road. But yes, we will look at those stats, and you know, the amount of yards that we gave up, the amount we gained. You know, we want to do better in both. We want to give up. We want to give up less and gain more.
It's interesting to note how fast we started. Though, if you look at the first quarter, it was our biggest scoring quarter, and then the second quarter was our second biggest scoring quarter. So we were a fast start team.
It was, and one glaring thing there is in the third quarter. In the third quarter, we were almost even with our opponent. We scored 56 points in the third quarter and gave up 55. We want to be better in the third quarter, coming back from halftime, because it's like I always tell the players, the most important part of the second half is the first 5 minutes.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
See that.
you know,
That's
we
interesting. That's what-
want to do that. We need to be a better team in the third quarter also. And another thing too, we gave up too many points in the fourth quarter at the end. So we want to be a better second half defensive team as well as offense. You know, we want to get into triple digits in all 3 quarters and scoring there.
Okay. Well, there's just so much to talk about, and we could go on and on and on, but now time dictates that we're going to have to shut this thing down. But, Kenny, just quickly, any remarks that you want to say here as we close out this season in review?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we had as much fun this year as we've had any given year. I mean, the only thing would have made it better would have been going to Jackson as the best one-legged team. But no, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we played some good competition this year, and I thought that our kids stepped up in the games that they needed to. And look, I'm gonna tell you that last ball game against Pearl River Central, I was disappointed with a lot of folks. Shoot, I was disappointed like anybody else over losing, but we hit them in the mouth, and we played hard. So you know that's what made it all fun this year, is watching those kids play hard.
Closing it out here, Coach. You're talking to your team out there, the Wayne County High School War Eagle family. You looking back, and it's like being on the field after the season's over. What do you tell them?
You know, we're going to start, and we've already done this, and we started the Monday that we got back from Thanksgiving, and we started working to get better, and we will continue to do that each and every day, because Rome wasn't built in a day, and a football team's not built in a day. It's not built in a month. It's built over a period of time, and it's like I tell our players each and every day you get better, get worse. You don't never stay the same, and we want to continue to get better each and every day as a player and as a person, each and every day. That it's like I always tell them after a win, I'm proud of you and I'm proud for you. And I want to be proud of you and proud for you each and every day, because I want to see you succeed as a player and a person. And the only way you do that is to get up with a working attitude and the right frame of mind each and every day and come ready to work.
That's what I'm talking about. Listen, I'm crunk, I'm pumped, I'm excited, just like I know y'all are. I know the Wayne County Football Nation is. We can't wait. So in the interim, we're going to get together and we're going to talk about it every chance we get. And that's what we're going to do. You know, for Kenny and Coach Mangum, you know, I'm Marshall and we Wood, and we just thank you for being a part. We want to thank again our friends here at Bancorp South for making this facility available to us, and for all that they've done for us in the past to get us from a broadcast standpoint to where we are today. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Ken and Rebecca and all the work that they do in making our productions possible, because we got Ken and I are in the middle. We got the coaching and the coach staff players make it happen, and we got folks behind the camera make it happen. We just get to stand up here and look pretty. I ain't easy look as good
Or just stand up there.
But anyway, we appreciate it, and we're going to look forward to seeing you for the next episode when we turn our attention to the future and we see what Coach Mangum has said about what's coming down the pipes at Wayne County High School War Eagle football, and we know it's going to be good. We'll see you next time for more Wayne County High School War Eagle football.